The sheriff, my brother-in-law, pulled me over. He put a bag of white powder in my back seat and arrested me. My own wife testified against me in court, saying he's a dangerous criminal. The judge asked me for my defense. I just requested one phone call. 15 minutes later, military police entered in the courtroom and arrested my wife and my brother-in-law. The judge and her lawyer turned. Blue lights cut through the night, and I knew before the siren even wailed who was behind me. The sheriff, my brother-in-law. He walked up slow, smug smile stretching wide, like he'd been waiting for this moment all his life. He leaned down, eyes glinting with something darker than authority. "Step out," he said. No explanation, no reason, just a tone that said he didn't need one. I obeyed. Calm on the outside, but inside, something already felt broken. Minutes later, his hand reached into my back seat. A small bag. White powder. He held it up like a magician revealing the trick. Planted. Perfectly rehearsed. "Gotcha," he whispered. And when my wife testified against me weeks later, her voice trembling, eyes filled with manufactured fear, I almost laughed. "He's dangerous," she told the court. "He's been hiding it for years." The judge turned to me. "Your defense?" I didn't argue, didn't plead. "I want one phone call," I said. Just one. 15 minutes later, the heavy boats of military police thundered into the courtroom. Faces pale, hands gripping weapons. And when they shackled my wife and my brother-in-law, silence fell. Not shock, not disbelief, fear. Betrayal tastes metallic, like blood in the mouth. I sat there, chains still cold on my wrists, as they dragged her past me. My wife, my partner, my supposed ally. She didn't look at me, couldn't. And in that refusal, the truth was written. She'd never been my ally. The signs had been there, her late nights, her guarded phone, her sudden distance in bed, replaced with feigned exhaustion and hollow excuses. I told myself it was stress, pressure, the fragility of routine. But when her testimony echoed in the courtroom, everything aligned. Her words were rehearsed, too precise. Not a wife's grief, but a conspirator's performance. And her brother, the sheriff, was the missing piece. Two betrayals braided into one. It wasn't just about drugs, or charges, or reputation. It was about erasure. They wanted me gone, removed cleanly from the picture, a ghost who once occupied space in their story, but no longer mattered. I should have felt rage, should have shouted, but instead I felt nothing, a void. Because the moment you understand you've been erased, anger is useless. Strategy is survival. I stayed quiet through the hearings, through the accusations, through the whispers in the gallery. Let them think I was broken, defeated. Inside, I was awake, coldly awake. I studied their movements, the subtle glances between them when they thought I wasn't watching, the too perfect timing of her statements aligning with his reports. I memorized her lies, word for word, logged the inflections in her voice, the tremble she practiced in the mirror, I was certain, before stepping onto the stage of the courtroom. At night, in the cell, I replayed it all, each fragment of betrayal becoming sharper, more defined. I asked myself the questions I already knew the answers to. How long had she been with him? Did she start before or after she slipped the ring on her finger? Did she ever mean a single thing she whispered in the dark? The pain was there, hidden under the ice, but I couldn't show it, because pain was weakness, and weakness was what they were counting on. So I waited. And when the judge asked for my defense, I knew it was the moment. Not for words, for the call. 15 minutes, that's all it took. The door burst open, military police, not local, not bound by the same corruption that chained this courtroom. The air shifted instantly. Judges don't flinch often, but I saw it. a twitch at the corner of his mouth, a tightening of the hands gripping the bench. They didn't ask questions, they didn't hesitate. They went straight for her, and him. My wife's face drained, her performance shattered. She tried to speak, to argue, but her voice cracked under the weight of sudden silence. Her brother's swagger disappeared when the cuffs clicked. His eyes darted to me, searching for an answer, an escape, a weakness. I gave him nothing, because I already knew the truth. Their little plan had been under surveillance longer than they realized. Phone records, hidden accounts, quietly compiled. I hadn't needed to uncover it myself. I just needed patience, and one call. And now, in front of the judge, their theater collapsed. They weren't actors anymore. They were defendants. I stood, chains still on my wrists, voice calm, steady. "I don't need a defense," I said. "They are my defense." The courtroom froze. My wife broke then, tears, real ones this time, cutting through her mask. She tried to reach for me, even as they dragged her past. "It wasn't supposed to be like this," she choked. I tilted my head. Not in pity, not in forgiveness, but in final recognition. Because the truth wasn't that she loved him more, or that she wanted me gone. The truth was simpler. She underestimated me. That was her fatal mistake. Her brother cursed, shouted promises of vengeance as they pulled him out. But I barely heard him. His words were already empty. The judge, pale and shaken, adjusted his robe. His lawyer whispered frantically. They looked at me like I had shifted into something unrecognizable. Not the accused, not the victim, but the reckoning. When the cell door finally opened for me, freedom didn't feel like triumph. It felt like silence. The kind of silence that settles when you've burned something to the ground, and all that remains is ash. I thought of her then, not with longing, not even with hate, just as a figure who once shared my bed and now shared a cell. I thought of him, his badge, his smirk, the night he slipped that bag into my car. Both of them were gone now, removed from my story. And me? I was still here, colder, sharper, unshaken. People talk about justice like it's a scale, balanced, fair. They're wrong. Justice is a blade, and only those willing to hold it without shaking get to cut the ties that bind them. When I walked out of that courthouse, I didn't look back. I had no reason to, because the past was buried, and the dead do not deserve mourning. They erased me once, but now I erased them forever.